Now, this idea of Dementia Asia webinar series is the brainchild of Professor Hong Hai. And he told us that we should share our experience with our neighbors here in the ASEAN and also the Asian countries. And the research on dementia from the Mind Science Center started some 40 years ago. And the last 13 years, we're doing studies on prevention. And we think it's very important, not only doing the research, but also to translate the research to the community. And that is the holy grail research, that whatever we do benefit people in the community. We have a parade of wonderful speakers today, and they have wonderful experience at the ground level on how to organize some of these programs. The first speaker, before I introduce the first speaker, I'll show you some of the slides of what we've done, and then we go on to the first speaker, Mr. Surin Chandrasekaran, and then followed by Ms. Tricia Lim, and then Genevieve Chua. I'll start off quickly with some of the research finding, because everyone said that this is interesting because of the scientific rigors in that particular study. So you see, it is in the community itself. The next slide, please. It started some 12 years ago, and the paper had been published in the world's literature. And we know from our experience that people with hypertension and diabetes are high risk. And so the program itself will talk about hypertension and diabetes, and also about diet. And also from our research, we know that people who have other activities like art, music, exercise, and even mindfulness have a better quality of life. And so this study, we've done a 5-year follow-up of this group of the cohort, and the outcome has been amazing. It shows that after five years, the outcome of dementia was only about just 3%. Nationally, here in Singapore, the Ministry of Health stated that the prevalence of dementia for people above 60 years is about 10%. In Singapore today, there's approximately 1 million people above 60 years old, which means that there are about 100,000 cases of dementia. But if you were to introduce this program, you can bring it down to just 3%. It means that only 30,000, and you can prevent or delay the onset for 70,000. And you see that on the slide itself, the depression rate is only about 4 or 5%. We know that nationally, the depression rate is also quite high. And depression is a more common problem than dementia, and depression has a mortality, and that's suicide. So this program can also bring down the depression rate, and it's wonderful for the mental health of elderly people. Next slide, please. So finally, we want to translate out the program into the community, and we call it the Age Well Everyday Program. Initially, it was called the Dementia Prevention Program, but then dementia is a stigma, and people are unwilling to attend some of the workshops. And when we changed it to something awesome, something Age Well Every Day, the attendance improved tremendously. And in fact, this acronym of AWE was first stirred up or thought about by our first patron, Mrs. Teo Po Im, and it's her idea. It's now extended to many centers around Singapore. And so now we will ask the 3 speakers to share their experiences. The first speaker is Mr. Surin Chandrasekaran, and he was the main person here in the Mind Science Center, helping to extend or spreading the gospel to more centers in Singapore. And he's now moved on to the Polytechnic to be a wonderful teacher, I'm sure, but he's here to share with us the experience the last 3 years here at the Mind Science Center. So Surin, is all yours now.
Thank you, Professor Kwa. And hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today, and whether you're tuning in from Singapore or from other parts of the world. My name is Surin, and I currently serve as the course chair for the Diploma in Social Sciences in Gerontology at Temasek Poly. But before this, I was the outreach director at the National University of Singapore, Boon Khim Mind Science Center, where much of my work involved bringing research to life through real programs in real communities. And it's truly an honor to be part of this Living with Dementia webinar series. And I'd like to thank Emeritus Professor Kwai Yok once again for the kind invitation and for paving the way in the field of geriatric psychiatry and dementia care. So over the years, over the last 1.5 years, we've launched about 10 different age well everyday clubs around Singapore. And I'll walk you through some of the key lessons, the structure, and what it really takes to start and sustain a club like this. Now, Singapore's journey in dementia prevention and aging research began several decades ago. And what was shared by Professor Kwan earlier, one of the most significant efforts was the Jurong aging study, led by Professor Kwan himself, Dr. Rati Mahendran, and with strong support from Professor Goh Ligan, the late Mrs. Teo Chee Hian, the late Mr. Wee Sin Toh, and Mrs. Wee Gyok Hua. This, at that time, was one of the largest studies in Asia. And it looked at how non-drug approaches like Tai Chi, reminiscence therapy, and mindfulness could help prevent or delay cognitive decline in older adults. But research alone is not enough. The real challenge is translating that science into something that really makes a difference in everyday life. And that's exactly what the Age Well Everyday program aims to do. It takes the best of what we've learned from research and brings it into community. Now, Age Well Everyday gives them access to preventive care, engagement, and a sense of belonging. But still, one thing is very clear. Local adaptation is key. And what works in one neighborhood may not work in another. And there are differences in culture, language, space, timing, and how people connect. So our approach has always been understand the ground first, walk it, listen to it, let the community shape how the program is rolled out. And if there's just one takeaway I want to emphasize, it's this: to be adaptable, be grounded, and be people-focused. So the Age Well Everyday Club is a simple weekly gathering held right in the heart of the community. We deliberately designed it to be warm, familiar, and volunteer-led. Just people and neighbors coming together to support one another in aging well. Sessions are typically led by trained volunteers, many of whom are older adults or seniors themselves. They bring lived experience, empathy, and a deep understanding of what matters most to their peers. We designed the Age Well Everyday Club model around 3 core values: inclusivity, where we welcome people from all walks of life across all levels of physical and cognitive ability; accessibility, where it's essentially free, there's no cost to it. It's community run and it happens right in their neighborhood. And of course, sustainability. Sessions are designed for a long-term plan where it's run consistently with minimal cost or external support. But for me and the rest of the team, what really makes this model special is how it combines evidence-based activities while tapping on local relationships. It's about neighbors looking out for each other and slowly building a weekly habit that supports their physical health, mental well-being, and social connection. To put it simply, it's about harnessing the power of the kampong spirit. I try to break it down to 5 core pillars of the Age Well Everyday Club for you guys to understand a bit better. But before we dive a bit deeper, let me quickly explain what each session typically covers. So each Age Well Everyday session touches on 5 key areas: the physical, cognitive, emotional, social, and educational well-being. We call this approach holistic aging because really to age well, we must take care of the whole person and not just one part. So let me walk you through these 5 core pillars. First, physical health. Each session starts with exercise or movement, gentle stretches, seated or standing exercises, balance drills, or even group games. And this helps to improve their strength, flexibility, and even reduce the risk of falls. Second, cognitive well-being. We include brain teasers, memory tasks, dual task activities, for example, like marching on the spot while counting. The aim is really to keep the brain active and engaged, and that's something that research has shown is crucial as we age. Third, social connection. There's always space for conversation, whether it's small group chats, storytelling, reminiscing, or simply laughing together. These moments are vital to fight loneliness and build community bonds. Fourth, mindful awareness practice, or in short, MAP. This is a signature component developed by the NUS Mind Science Center. We use breathing exercises, grounding techniques, and body scans to help participants feel calm, present, and emotionally steady. And finally, health education. We invite speakers such as doctors, nurses, subject matter experts, professionals to share practical tips on managing health conditions, medications, diet, or even mental wellness. This empowers older adults with knowledge that they can then apply in their day-to-day life. Well, each session may look simple on the surface, but what we found when done consistently over time, we see it with our own eyes, the impact is real. And for me and the team, that's the power of community-based preventive care. So just a quick snapshot, a summary of what I just shared. Each Age Well Everyday session runs once a week for about an hour. We keep it simple. The first 30 minutes focuses on the physical and cognitive activities. The next 30 minutes are more contemplative, things like art, music reminiscence, horticulture, mindful awareness practice. Once a month, we add on a short health talk, as shared earlier, where we covered useful topics like diabetes, sleep, nutrition, mental well-being. But what's important is we keep making sure that these sessions are engaging and also manageable for both volunteers and the participants. And we adjust along the way based on what works best for that local group in that local community. Now, what's important is that the 5 holistic pillars shared in the previous slide are integrated across these segments here, and it's not done in isolation. So by weaving them together each week, we build a routine that is simple, low cost, but powerful in effect. And this format has worked well for us across the many different communities in Singapore. And it continues to evolve as we gather feedback and we grow together with our different partners. So how do we actually then bring the Age Well Everyday Club to life? It starts with one key principle. We go to the people. We don't wait for seniors to come to us. We bring the program, the evidence-based research and ideas to places they already know and trust. For example, in a Singapore context, your community clubs, your senior centers, your active aging centers, temple halls, even open spaces and community spaces below their void decks or their apartments. And what we found is that familiar places build comfort and trust, and leveraging on existing interest groups does help. We build partnerships. At every site, we work closely with local stakeholders, grassroots leaders, active aging center staff, community staff, and essentially these partners help with understanding the needs on the ground, local demographics, helps with logistics, promotion, and building rapport with the residents that they see day in, day out. The third factor is volunteers. Many of our best facilitators are seniors themselves. They typically start off by attending and they slowly, gradually step forward to help. What we found was key was spotting them early and nurturing these potential leaders is key to growing ownership from within. Each of them bring their own unique strengths to the table. And when we recognize their contributions early and when we recognize their contributions and tap on their strengths early, it helps to build a community that really wants to give back and pay it forward. And lastly, we keep things fresh. That means we don't do the same thing every session. We rotate activities. We introduce new ideas, new games, trying different themes like music, mindfulness, talking about different MRT stations, arts, and even celebrations. This helps to keep the energy level high. And it really encourages regular attendance, them bringing their friends forward as well. And what we see really is it brings joy to the seniors and it really fosters that sense of curiosity as what's coming up next week. So in short, go to the people, build strong partnerships, empower volunteers, keep things fresh. And these 4 points essentially keeps the Age Well Everyday Club going strong, not just as a program, but as living, breathing communities. So let me just wrap up really quickly for what we found to be 3 things that truly make an Age Well Everyday Club work. I know there's a lot of content, but I've broken it down to 3 Ps, right? The first one being people. The heart of any Age Well Everyday Club lies with its volunteers and participants. Their willingness to show up, to lead, to support one another. That is what brings each session to life. And in this picture here, you can see the fine gentleman on the left sitting on the chair. He's my colleague, Sean, and I have to give him a huge shout out because he has been an important equation in setting up this journey, establishing these clubs across the community. He's our master trainer for the Age Well Everyday program here in Mind Science Center. Second, partnerships. From community centers to active aging centers, healthcare teams, and academia. These partnerships provide the structure, the space, and the support, both professionally and of course at the community level needed to scale, that we need to scale and to sustain the program. And essentially no one does this alone. We need a whole team of partners to come together. And finally, purpose. When everyone is aligned on the why, on the belief that we can all age with dignity and joy. That shared purpose really gives the program its energy and soul. Maybe let me give you a very quick example. One of the sites, we had a participant who was very, very shy. She would come in, sit at the back of the class, and hardly speak. But through the different breaks that we have and the small little chit-chats we have, we kind of believed in her and we gave her a very small role. And slowly she stepped up, we encouraged her gently. And long story short, 1 year later, she's now the one leading the weekly exercise segment for the Age Well Everyday program. And it reminds us, when people feel safe, they feel seen and supported, especially the elderly, they rise. So just to wrap things up, I've got three quick case studies, just pictures, but I'll just guide you through as to why I find them unique. So Serangoon CC, Serangoon Community Center. So this is one of the most vibrant and well-supported sites. What really made the difference here was having a supportive grassroots advisor and committed community center staff as well. They believed in the program right from day one. Now, believing in the program sometimes may not just be enough. They helped with space, logistics, outreach, but more importantly, they were present. You'd see the advisor and the staff not just at the launch of the program, but also checking in regularly, attending sessions, encouraging participation and volunteers as well. For us, what we saw was this kind of consistent support signals to the community that this is not a one-off initiative or a one-off program. It's something that matters to them and it's here to stay. As a result, Serangoon quickly became a hub. You'd find multi-generational participation, strong volunteer turnout, a real sense of ownership on the ground. And it's a good reminder for all of us here that with strong local leadership support and follow through, we can turn a simple weekly program into a thriving movement. And that's Serangoon Community Club. The next site is Jurong Central. Well, Jurong Central is a very good example of what happens when volunteers step up early. Right from the start, we were kind of lucky to have a few participants who began showing natural leadership. They would help to set up, they would guide others, and even suggest new ideas and activities for next week, rather than waiting for an external trainer to come down each week. So the community slowly began to take ownership of the sessions. This early buy-in led to something very powerful for Jurong Central, and that was sustainability. Even when we scaled back on our involvement, the program continued. Volunteers knew what to do. They were, more importantly, they believed in why they were doing it. And Jurong Central really taught us that it's not about finding the perfect leaders. It's about spotting potential early, offering gentle guidance, and creating that space for people to rise in their own way and contribute. So Serangoon CC, the first case study, was really institutional support. Jurong Central here shows the power of community ownership. And one last example, Jurong Spring. One anchor volunteer made all the difference here. She believed in the vision very early in the day. She read all the research papers and she found that this is something that she needed to bring to Jurong Spring. She got friends to help and her energy drew people in. Over time, this small group grew into a strong, self-sustaining team. They took care of everything from planning sessions to welcoming newcomers to randomly getting vegetables to donate to the team. A lot of fun stuff that has gone down at Jurong Spring. Today, the club at Jurong Spring is fully community run. The volunteers decide what they do on a weekly basis. They manage everything themselves. They even plan outings together, walks in the park. And there's a deep sense of pride and ownership in what they've built. Now, this reminds us that essentially having the right anchor, community programs do not survive like the rest, they thrive as well. And it's a great example of what can happen when we trust community members and volunteers to lead in their own way, their own flavor, at their own pace, with, of course, support behind the scenes. So it brings me to my last slide of my sharing today. And I'd like to leave you with a simple but powerful message. We're not just trying to build clubs or programs. We're building communities where people can age with dignity, joy, and purpose. And this essentially is the heart of the Age Well Everyday movement. And to make this possible, we need a couple of things. Grassroots leadership and volunteers, who care enough to step forward even in small ways. More importantly, research-backed or having evidence-based approaches is important to create buy-in from community partners and stakeholders. these are not just programs that you're pushing out without the evidence to back it up. And of course, the willingness to adapt locally, because to be very honest, wherever you go, even in a small country like Singapore, no two communities are the same. And that's perfectly okay. We have to be willing to adapt and to tweak along the way. So just to summarize, no matter where you are in the world, whether you're a policymaker, you're a volunteer, a community partner, a caregiver, or just someone who wants to make a difference, you have a role to play in shaping how we age together. And to end off, let's not just add years to life, let's add life to years. Start small, stay consistent, and build with heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Surin. Excellent presentation. Just to summarize a few lines. Firstly, you will remember that what he said, that this is a non-drug approach program. We're not prescribing any medicine to prevent dementia. And this, secondly, is it depends on or dependent on volunteers to run the program. And this program has been going on for almost 10 years now. In the world, there are 3 centers doing research on dementia prevention. One program in Paris, another in Finland, the third in Singapore. I was the first in Asia. The other 2 programs in Paris and Finland, they tell me that they are running short of money. They got to pay people to do this program, you know. But in Singapore, we are very glad we have the people who are volunteers who come in to help us out. Even in the Jurong study, we have a donation from the Mr. Lee Soon Teck and also the Kwan Temple. So people come out, volunteers, very important, and donors. And the final point that you remember, he quoted a tagline: it is a program in the community, by the community, and for the community. So it's a program that brings people together, that will unite people. So there is a book written by an author named Koh Bak Song, and he included a chapter on the Age Well Everyday program in that book. The book is called One United People. This weekend is the National Day of Singapore, and I think that the Age Well Everyday program or club can be a way to unite people. You know, and I hope Surin will bring his message to his friends to tell them that, hey, one way to unite the people is Age Well Everyday program. So we're very thankful to Surin, and the other person he quoted is Sean, who is busy now doing forest walking at this very moment. Let's move on to the second speaker, Miss Tricia Lim. Tricia is from the Kuomingsan group temple, and that group has the biggest number of participants, almost 700. One of the success stories we have here in Singapore. So Tricia, you want to tell us the program?
Hi everyone. Hi everyone. I'm Tricia from Kuomingsan Pokasi Monastery. I'm excited to have been invited by Prof to share how we started the Asia Every Day program in our monastery. So I will begin with my slide. So in this program, we started with the blessing from our abbot, Venerable Concern, and the late Mr. Wisinto and Mrs. Wee Gyok Hwa. We started this Asia Every Day. Initially, they were known as Dementia Prevention Program in July 2016. And we have been supported by our dedicated volunteer, about 20 of them, and our journey begin from there. So this is a framework whereby we adopted since 2016 until today. We have our supported by the organization My Science Center. Then we will also be we will look into the resources available, the 5 modules, and special program that we have planned for the senior, and lastly the interest group. So for the support from the My Science Center, they will give us the instructor training, basic training online, to recruit more volunteers so that they are well equipped with the knowledge and how to deliver certain topics and how to be able to manage the senior in the classroom. So there's also one mindful awareness practice, physical mindful awareness practice after the online courses. And My Science Center also provide the material for the mindfulness practice and also the health education. Lastly, they will also provide us with some evaluation form so that we can be able to determine whether our senior are well. So, sorry. Yeah, so the resources that we have in the monastery is will also determine the participant to be recruited. If let's say we have the space, then the classroom the available that we can have more senior, then it will also influence the capacity of the volunteers to support the program. So the best size for the participant is about 20 to 25 per class, so that the volunteer are able to really deliver the topic to all the participant and be able to take care of them more better. Then the volunteer that require to start this HIV Day program is about 10 for volunteer because we have 5 modules. So each module is about 2 volunteers. Then it's best to have also a spare whereby they will help to fill up when there is certain last minute absentees or whatever, so that it won't be too taxing for the volunteer to deliver the topic on that day itself. So volunteer must be committed for the 12-week program cycle so that they won't be, unless it's during certain urgent matters. If not, it's good for them to be committed for the 12-week program cycle. Then in our monastery, we also have a pre-program briefing and post-session debrief. It is essential as it helps to align expectation, address challenges, and then also foster the teamwork among the volunteer. So let me walk to with you the 5 station. What we have here is the first one will be meridian flapping. This is the exercise whereby they will go through the meridian flapping for the whole body, and then from there it will help to stimulate blood circulation. And then second one will be the mindfulness practice. Then is the during mindfulness practice, we will do body scan, grounding, then mindful of eating, mindful of walking, and so on. Then the third one will be the health education, whereby we have a set of outline of the schedule, whereby there's different topic like how to eat healthy. Then we also share with them the different of the mental health, like depression, different depression, and yeah. Then the fourth one will be horticulture, whereby we'll do certain in planting and then some handicraft. We also even did the enzyme making, then compost, and so on. Yeah, in the music reminiscences, whereby we will get the senior to share their experience and the songs that they love to listen, and then share about their life, their younger state. And we also have those games whereby they can continue the childhood memory games and all this. Sorry. The first one, yeah, marine flapping, whereby they started with the warming up, then they start the flapping with different meridian parts. As you can see in the picture itself in the video, they are doing a warming up and then they are doing different parts of the flapping over the body. For the exercise, you can adopt any exercise in your center, whereby you can have Tai Chi or some yoga or what, different exercise. And what we adopt here is the meridian flapping. Then because we have a trained instructor whereby they are able to train the volunteer itself, and then we also can be the instructor for the every week session. So the next one will be mindfulness awareness practice, whereby they are doing the walking meditation now, as what you have seen. And then the senior will be we get them to walk around the temple, just the circumference of our halls. And not forgetting that this is our, also on the right, is our mindfulness awareness instructor. In Health Talk, they will deliver, sorry, health education. Yeah, they will deliver topics whereby it concerns to the health of the senior. And horticulture, they will do some planting, handicraft, and then normally for final day of the course, we will do a combination of mindfulness and horticulture together with the mandala making, whereby they use their creativities to form a shape of a mandala with the flowers, the plants that provided, and then after that they will destroy it. Yeah, this is to indicate impermanence of life. And lastly is the music reminiscences, whereby the senior will share their life stories, and then they will also taste some of we have some games whereby they have childhood game, and they also can taste some childhood food and all this during the lessons. And during the National Day, we also have them to sing some of the National Day songs. Then we enjoy it. They enjoy it quite very well. And in our framework, we also have a excursion whereby we bring them out to certain parts of Singapore, like Garden by the Bay. Then they like it very much, and sometimes we also bring them to the National Museum of Singapore, whereby they can see the history of Singapore. So that is also part of the reminiscences, whereby they can recall the old days, what they have done and what the parents have been taught them. And lastly, in our temple, actually, we will have a graduation ceremony whereby their families are invited, and we will be issuing them with the certificate whereby where they can have mortarboard, and they can have picture with their family and food after the ceremony. And it has been now 10 years since 2016, the pilot run until now. We have about 519 senior that is graduated from this HR Everyday program. So with this, we have also created the interest group whereby the purpose is to encourage the senior to stay active through regular exercise and continue practicing the mindfulness practice, whereby this is a research have been done that mindfulness practice will help to slow down the onset of dementia. Then in this interest group, we have this structure as from January to October, every Wednesday. Then the session is from 9:30 to 11:30. It's a 2-hour session whereby 1 hour is for exercise, and the next hour they will do their mindfulness practice. Compared to the regular HR everyday, we have 5 stations, but for the interest group, we only focus on the 2 main module, the exercise and the mindfulness practice. We also introduced as the senior have completed their 12 session with us, and they are quite familiar with this 5 station. So we also introduce them the therapeutic walk in 2024, whereby we train the instructors, and there will be 4 session whereby 1 theory on mindfulness and 3 physical walk in the Botanic Gardens or Bishan Park. So it has been quite encouraging in the sense that because we try to encourage mindful walking in the park and bring it to the community whereby they can walk in the park mindfully, rather than when there is a group of people, they will tend to talk and then they don't have mindfulness about the environment. So we do encourage the senior to do their own therapeutic walk with their friends, but in silence, whereby they can really focus on the environment. Then they can also focus about their feeling and their thoughts. So the volunteer is also in our monastery. We have about 50 trained instructor and about 10 to 12 companion, because in this we felt that the companion is a good support to the instructor and also to the senior, whereby the senior will be quite unfamiliar with the environment, the classroom or the hall. So the companion will be the guide to the senior and also be the support to our instructor during the lesson proper. So just a brief sharing on how we can start up a AWE program in your community. So for HR Everyday, the duration is about 12 sessions, and every session have their different topic. So the timing that we have in our temple here will be from 9 to 11:30. Then after the session, we will have a 30 minutes lunch together to encourage social bonding, because it really helped them during the lunch, whereby they can talk whatever they can share among each other on their daily life and what they are interested and what is their daily what they do during their daily life. And also after the session, we will have a volunteer debrief. So from there, I will go through the flow quickly. So we will start with publicity, then in poster or in any form, web or social media. Then later we will have to start with the volunteer recruitment, whereby they will need to attend the online training. After the online training, then they will be recruited as our volunteer instructor. So before the session start for the HR every day, there will be orientation for the instructor to brief them on the demography of the senior and the layout and the what we plan for the session. And also the participant, the third part will be the participant whereby registration, there will be a registration orientation. And then the pre-program setup whereby teaching material, we need to prepare the teaching material, sound system and all the logistic. And from there, we will have a 1 week before a volunteer training orientation for our volunteer 1 week before the session start. And the orientation will be for HR every day will be brief, and then why they come for the session and what is the beneficial to them, and then we'll do a dementia assessment evaluation. Then on day one, we will have a registration 30 minutes before the lesson proper, then give out the homework, and then music reminiscence form whereby we wanted to understand more about their liking, whereby the song, what song they like to listen, and what is their favorite place and food they prefer. Then on the day one, we also have lunch. Then after that is the debrief. So this is a basic flow that we adopt in the temple here for the session. And actually, in every program, there will tend to be challenges. What the challenges we face here will be the constraint on the space and the flexibility of making change, because the space, normally for our size group in the HRAD, we have about 50 to 60 participants. So we have to break into 2 groups. So for the size of 50, we will need about 3 classes. 3 classes, and then to split them into 2. Then the other one will be the volunteer management, whereby their roles, the training and how to retain them. Because in order to be able to retain them, we need to understand their needs also and make changes accordingly to what is needed by them, so that to support them to have a better and happy delivery of the session. The purpose of having the class, importantly, is to everyone, the senior, the volunteer are all happy, and then when they are happy, they are willing to continue and join the program itself. So far for me, thank you everyone. If you have any question, anything that needs support, you can write to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Tricia. I'm sure they will all be writing to you. All questions been coming in. Some people ask, why did we select art, music, and mindfulness? And these are all born out from our clinical work. Started off a memory clinic in NUH, started in 1990, almost 35 years ago. We found that people who have dementia, who have art, music, exercise, seem to have a better quality of life. As from there, we start off something interesting. So if someone asks which particular activity is most therapeutic, most useful, this program combines all. So we have, besides health education, to help you to stabilize hypertension and diabetes, we also have something on music, art, exercise, and also MAP, or mindful awareness practice. Now, when this program was selected for a presentation in the World Congress in Vienna, people were excited because someone told me, hey, this is the only program in the world where there's something a bit spiritual, mindfulness. And as seniors grow a bit older, they tend to be a bit more spiritual in their life. And so they find the mindfulness practice exciting. Now, mindfulness is not something to do with Buddhism, it's something secular. And so it was conceived by the late Mr. Lee Soon Teck, and a book can be written out on the mindful awareness practice. Now we have to press on because there are so many questions, and we have one more speaker. Next speaker is Ms. Genevieve Chua. She is the chairman or the CEO of RSVP. She'll tell you later on in one sentence what is RSVP, but it's somebody who personifies enthusiasm. You see, she's very bubbly to tell you what she's doing, what the team is doing. Shall we welcome Ms. Genevieve Chua?
Thank you, Prof. Kwan. Let me share my slides. Right. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be part of this important conversation, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to share our experience in bringing the Age Well Everyday program into the community. Before going to the details, allow me to briefly introduce our organization behind this initiative. Now, RSVP Singapore, the Organization of Senior Volunteers, is a non-profit organization and an institute of public character. We are honored to be recognized as the National Center of Excellence for Senior Volunteerism under the patronage of the President of Singapore, Mr. Tharman Shanmugaratnam. Now, since 1998, RSVP has been championing purposeful aging by engaging seniors as volunteers to serve a wide range of communities. So that includes fellow seniors, children, and people with special needs through meaningful and sustained programs like these shown in this slide. So let me go on now to take you back as to how it all began. In June 2018, RSVP Singapore enrolled a group of senior volunteers in the train-the-trainer sessions conducted by the Mind Science Center for the AWE program. Now, we were really excited and very interested in this program because it's evidence-based, it's well researched by Prof. Kwan and his team, like Surin mentioned earlier. So it's a very, very credible program. And so these sessions gave these original volunteers our foundational training. Now, to deepen our understanding, what we did was we attended observation sessions at the AWE programs that were conducted at that time at the community club. So thanks to Yunos and Chongpang that time. So what this did was that this experience gave us a clearer picture of how the program worked on the ground. And this is what's really relevant. So we then regrouped for further training, this time supported by 2 trainers from the Mind Science Center to refine our facilitation approach and tailor the sessions for our own community. For example, some of those clubs had horticulture, but we introduced music reminiscence instead. So with this preparation, we launched our very first AWE program in 2019. Since then, we have engaged over 500 participants with 70% in their 60s and 70s, and currently have about 20 instructors who've also gone through the online training session for health education. I think in over that 7 years, we've conducted over 20 different runs, not just within RSVP, but also public runs, which I'll explain later. So let me now go into to the next section, which is about laying the foundation. Now, as we developed the AWE program, we recognized early on that a strong foundation was essential for long-term success. Now, this first phase focused on 3 key areas: experience, equip, and exercise. So let me just go into experience first. We started by encouraging our volunteers to attend similar programs or like the ones that we are conducting, because that's where we can also identify good potential. Now, this helped the instructors to gain first-hand insight into what the experience feels like. So they'll know what engages, what is inspiring, and what, importantly, can also be improved in their own program. In fact, many of our instructors today were originally participants in the AWE program, and this progression gave them a deeper and more intuitive understanding of how the program works. So for anyone here considering implementing AWE in your own community, attending as a participant will help, because that gives you that valuable perspective to adapt and improve it meaningfully for your context. Next is equipping. Beyond the initial training that was provided, we also identified specific skill gaps, such as public speaking and presentation delivery. Now that, doesn't come naturally to everyone. So to support our instructors, we engaged a professional trainer to conduct a presentation skills workshop. And we also introduced refresher sessions on mindful awareness practice and other key modules. That helps to build the confidence. And thirdly, exercise, by which I mean practice, especially in the initial, when we were first starting out. I remember we took time to rehearse, to get our instructors to go through mock runs, walkthroughs, and peer feedback sessions to help them build confidence, to enable them to also engage the participants in a warm and assured way. So now that we've gone through that phase 1 over the years, it's always what's next. So in terms of phase 2, we talk about elevating the program. So once the foundation was in place, our next focus was on the quality. What about the engagement and also the sustained impact? So first of all, in terms of evolving our content, we introduced regular check-ins and debriefs after each program run. And this allowed us to refine and improve the modules that we were conducting. So participant feedback is taken seriously and forms the basis of many of our adjustments. So because we've created a feedback form, we really go through them. So as an example, we reviewed how we could improve the understanding of mindful awareness practice. And so we decided to start small breakout groups, for example, because in these smaller groups, people feel it's a safer space for the participants to share, to ask questions. Secondly, empowering, so that you can see there is one of those small group sessions, the breakout sessions for MAP. Now, secondly, empowering our instructors. Now, we believe in continuous learning, so we support our instructors with periodic refresher workshops and try to foster a supportive peer community where they can share tips and challenges. Now, honestly, for us to keep going, the things that encourage us really is really all this heartfelt feedback that we receive after each session, because comments from participants would tell us they feel more connected, more informed, and more hopeful after knowing how to age well. That's the greatest encouragement for all of us, to know that we are making this difference. So in terms of the final area, enriching the participant journey, we realize that AWE doesn't just have to end when the final session ends. We began organizing community activities, and I'll be sharing a few examples shortly, which allow participants to stay connected and continue practicing what they've learned. In fact, for us, one simple thing we did was to keep everyone connected through a WhatsApp chat group. So it's whoever wants to join, they're welcome to leave, but they join and they stay connected. And I think that's one very important aspect also of, keeping ourselves not just physically healthy, but also mentally. I think it's really that holistic approach, which Surin mentioned earlier. So together with these two phases, which reflect our belief that aging well is not just about imparting that knowledge. It's also about the connection, the confidence, and the continuity. So just briefly, our module we have 4 modules, which is health education, mindful awareness practice, exercise activities, and music reminiscence and rhythm. What's covered in health education was also what was brought up by Surin earlier on in this presentation. Mindful awareness practice, yes, we have body scan, we have mindful eating, mindful walking, and exercise activities, music reminiscence. It's quite similar to what Tricia said, but although I think she's got some other module as well. For us, it was these 4 modules that we concentrated on. So over the last 7 years, so we've held multiple runs, and ours was also right smack during the pandemic of 2020 to 2022, that period. So it was virtual sessions. But at the same time, when we introduced therapeutic forest walk, and with the help of NParks, our national parks, we also included garden activities. We also had special music reminiscence sessions over and above the program proper. So all of this keeps, again, the community connected. And of course, that's some of these things, horticulture, music, exercise, all that big picture on the right-hand side there was during the pandemic. We also introduced interesting themes to keep the participants engaged. And this was during lockdown, but you can see a series of activities. But even for those of you who are looking to conduct activities, there's no reason why you can't also have them online if attendance is an issue. We did all of this during the lockdown, where we had exercise sessions, we had music reminiscence, we had MAP session practices and connecting people via Zoom through different talks and all that. So all these things are still possible, not just because of lockdown, but in terms of trying to get the community going and connection there. So regular walks since 2020, at least one, if not two walks every month. And there are too many for me to add, but these are some of the photos of our past AWE participants. So again, what's next? Our future plans as we look ahead, our focus is on deepening impact and broadening our reach. So first of all, what we've started doing is to bring the AWE program to the wider public through partnerships. I think Suren also talked about partnerships. And this time we reached out to our National Library Board. And since 2024, last year, we've conducted public runs at Toa Payoh, Bishan, and Central Libraries. And most recently, we've just started at Queenstown Library last month. This has allowed us to reach a more diverse audience and raise awareness of dementia prevention in everyday community spaces. Secondly, we look towards deepening community partnerships we have done with other nonprofit organizations and also like S3, the Stroke Support Station. Thirdly, we need, at the heart of it all, is the our volunteer instructors. So really enhancing volunteer capability is something that we need to look at and supporting them with the right skills and knowledge. So we'll be looking at our training framework to ensure it stays relevant and to look at how else we can improve the program. Ultimately, we believe that by staying grounded in community and needs and committed to continual learning, we can continue to make a meaningful contribution, really one step at a time, towards helping our seniors age well every day. So as a conclusion, we know it's the real question as we age around the world is not how long we live, but how well we live. At RSVP Singapore, we've seen how purposeful aging transforms lives, not only for the seniors we serve, but also for those they go on to inspire. So I hope our journey sparks ideas for your own, because even the smallest effort can create lasting ripples of change. We'll be happy to take questions later, but thank you for the opportunity to share our story with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Genevieve. There are a few questions that people ask at the point that she raised, which is very important about staying connected. I think this program, as I mentioned in the beginning, brings people together, and loneliness is one of the big issues as people grow older, and we know that loneliness is a risk factor for depression. So this program is interesting, bring everyone together. I think you'll benefit not only yourself but also your friends. Someone was asking, why isn't there a center at Tampines North or Queenstown? And I think it will come to your place. Queenstown there is now. I think it's dormant for a while. Someone asked about evaluation, and I agree. One of the strength of this program is that there's evaluation at the end of a year. There's a questionnaire so that we can screen people. If they are very early, then we can refer them for other programs. So I'm going to ask the other people in this group now. One question asked is about the finance. Surin, how do you finance the program in Serangoon and the others? What do they do?
Well, interesting question, and I think it's a very common question whenever we head down and we first interact with our partners. There is essentially very little or no cost as well. These programs are meant to be run by the seniors themselves. So training them is the first step. Once they're brought up to speed, they can run it on a week-to-week basis. So the only ad hoc cost that I see happen in some of the sites, it's really a ground-up initiative to have their own T-shirts, for example, to have some form of identity among the group. And that usually they will bring it to their respective centers, whether it's an active aging center or a community center, and they have respective committees that choose to fund the T-shirts or maybe some light refreshments every week. But essentially, it's really not that expensive to run, and it's free.
Right. What about Genevieve Chua? How do you run your programs then?
Oh, well, it's not just completely, we don't charge the participants, so it's volunteer led, but of course it's our organization. There's also, the cost relating to also having an organization behind it. And you can see that we reach out to different community, like for example, the library, the public and all that. So it's, and if you want to, for example, look into upskilling. So in terms of, for example, even like training, presentations, and all additional training, that will also involve engaging professionals. So there's also cost involved there. I don't provide lunches like I think what Trisha mentioned, but it's still that it's funding from, let's say, if there are corporate sponsors and all that, that would be absolutely helpful in order to extend this very wonderful program.
Yeah. Prof, maybe I just add on a little bit more. So we've got some sites, not going to mention the name of the site, but they are working with a local charity to kind of like subsidize their trained volunteers or senior volunteers in a micro job model. So they pay them a very small fee, these trained volunteers supported by the charity, and they go around conducting these sessions, but essentially it becomes a job after retirement. So we're exploring that model at some community spaces. I know some centers are already doing that, but there is potential for it to also be an income stream for some of these seniors after they retire.
Right. I think Tricia is a bit more fortunate, isn't it? The temple supports you, and it not only supports you, they pray for you. So that's most important. Tell us, how do you do it, Tricia?
Okay, for us, as what Prof mentioned, the temple supported the events, so it's also free. So we provide lunch. Lunch is important for us because we felt that during lunchtime they can socialize. If not during lesson, they were just like rushing through the lessons. So that part, that's why we try to provide lunch. But basically the costs are all sponsored lah. So yeah, there's we don't incur much finances for this running of this HRVD.
I know listening in is Reverend Calvin Chong from the Singapore Bible College, and he's trying to encourage the churches to do something. I think that's wonderful, to adopt the EWE program. The Malay group has Mr. Rashid from Changkat, and they're doing excellent work. So during the pandemic, they used the handphone to set up groups, And what they did, something unique, is that after they've given them 3 or 4 sessions, supposed to be once a week, now it's almost every day they do it, They tell the people, what would you like to give us back in return? Do you like to volunteer in the mosque to help in the library or to serve people? So it's not just giving all the time, because you see in the program, we give them information, we give them free lunches, but can they give something back? So the Malay group at Tampines Changkat is excellent. So they encourage them to give back something to the community. So I've been to some of their programs on a Sunday, and the people who in that program, on a particular day, they make their own nasi lemak, onde, and they bring it to all of us. So they're trying to give back to the community something. I think that's excellent idea, isn't it? Now, I realize that some of these programs, they run well, and then some may not do as well. And I think a crucial factor is the leadership. So you see, the leadership, like Surin, you see he's a good organizer, he knows the ground well, So there's something, it's not just about charisma, it's about able to care and a sense of altruism. And Tricia is also, she gets on very well. She's, although quiet, a very humble person, a huge sense of humility. And she gets on very well with the abbot of the temple. This is very important, And Genevieve, full of energy, full of life, a bundle of energy, able to motivate people. So I think these are the qualities of leaders that are important, because sometimes the leader can destroy the whole thing. The leader dominates the whole program, then it's finished, People get fed up, So anything else, Surin, you tell us that the success of the various team that you brought in,
I think
successful.
Yeah, Prof. So you hit it right on the nail. So it boils down to leadership, partnerships, and being genuine. But I guess what really made it easy to replicate or push some of these programs down on different community sites is the research part of the house. So the real evidence backing of the program adds value, and it makes it easy for partners to adapt. Now, we have many programs on the ground, no shortage of them when you go down and you have your Zumba classes and all these kind of physical classes. But what we're trying to do is to push classes that have evidence-based kind of research behind it, because the end goal is really to push programs that would benefit us as we age. And that makes the Age Well Everyday program really unique and easy to implement and adapt as well.
Yeah. The point also raised by Genevieve, that is evidence-based, the research part of it. Because someone asked me, what about other programs on the question list? There are other programs that are interesting, but we haven't done the research. So people want to find out is evidence-based, especially in university. We have difficult professors asking difficult questions. In a way, it's good. I think they ask questions, make us think. Just like mindfulness. Beginning when we first started mindfulness, wow, there was a howl of protest from people. Then we did the research. And because the research now, mindfulness is very widespread here now. The first paper in the world on mindfulness in elderly done here in Singapore. Besides just pencil and paper, also brain scan, genetic studies, all these things were done, and it's excellent. We have all this technology here in Singapore. We need new ideas here. Now, Tricia, tell us, how come it attracted so many people to your center?
The participant.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. In our temple, because most of them are senior, and I believe this. I see the difference between the senior, because when they started, they might be not familiar with the place and not familiar with the people. Then they tend to shy away of just being that means quiet. But then after the session, after 2 to 3 sessions, they slowly build up the bonding, and then they slowly open up. And I think nowadays, I think senior needs socialize, because a lot of them in our temple, because they come regularly for just prayer, chanting, and all this. But for HR every day, they are more circular. They are more community-based, whereby they can do simple like exercise and all this. You don't have to like learn skills or whatever to just exercise together with the instructor, given the instruction. So from there, I think it's quite how to say, in the sense of whereby close to them, and that's what they want to do. And exercise and all these are to keep them healthy. So we are trying to we just actually most of the senior that come forward are more been joining with us from the 12th session, then until the interest group. Then is most of them are by words of mouth, whereby their friend ask them to come and join and encourage them to join. We see these trends been going on since then until now. Yeah.
Okay. Someone also asked about whether there's any digital program. So in fact, maybe Surin explained to them what is the SUSS program.
Yeah, so when the Age Well Everyday first initially started, we were hit by, there was a portion where we were hit by the pandemic, right? And people could not come down for training sessions. So part of the training sessions to train volunteers and bring them up to speed was then pushed to an e-portal that's hosted on the SUSS website, who are our partners as well. So essentially, people who are interested to be trained, they attend these self-learning e-portal sessions, and they go through a lot of the different health education topics to allow the then trained volunteers to articulate better in their weekly or their monthly sessions. Yeah. Hope
Okay.
that covers, Rob.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And someone asked also, what's a long-term view of this program? I'm a bit on a decline now in my life. I hope someone like Surin and Tricia and Genevieve will carry on for the next 30, 40 years. I think so. We must have a constant group of people who come to the forefront to lead the program. Someone also asked if it's just what about those who don't respond well? Now the program I mentioned, after 5 years, we're able to bring it down to 3%. Now remember, dementia is an illness which we call a syndrome. A syndrome is due to many causes. It's unlike malaria or tuberculosis due to a bacteria. If you use antibiotic, it can kill off the bacteria, or COVID-19, but dementia is due to many causes. So there's no one drug that's going to stop the pandemic, the whole the new cases. So what we've done is to lower down the incidence from 10% to just 3%. So this is a big jump. That's why the World Health was very keen on this program, that we can bring it down. And this program is not just about dementia, also depression, also have to control diabetes, hypertension. So there are many areas involved in this program. When we discuss this with some of our colleagues, they think that the most interesting program, the outcome, is in terms of getting people together. All right. Before the program in Jurong, the people are living in their own flats around Jurong Point shopping mall. But now they come together, they care for one another. So as I mentioned, this program is not just lowering down dementia, depression, improving health, but also to bring people together, one united nation. Before we round up, maybe I want to ask Genevieve, what are the future programs you have with RSVP?
Future programs or future AWE?
Yes, AWE, certainly.
Relating to AWE, of course,
Right.
we are always ongoing looking for relevant programs. But for AWE, like I shared, one of the things is that I'm very glad that we've managed to extend it into the community. And I think that's where it makes it easier for people within that vicinity to attend, because you need them to keep coming back weekly, during the duration of the program. So by extending it to the public, I think that has been helpful through the collaboration with National Library Board. The other thing, like I said, we were also looking at other nonprofit organizations community partners that we can reach out to. I think that's the way we can spread the good word. It's a non-drug lifestyle intervention, so that means something can be done.
Right. Someone asked whether this could be introduced in a part of China. In fact, we gave a lecture in Shanghai, Chengdu. So they're starting very fast now in China. They adapted the program, they even improved on it. And they told me that particular program, they have more than 30,000 people doing it now. Very, very fast, China. So I think our good friend, Professor Tommy Koh, the ambassador at large, said that we are all medical and diplomats. And we go and tell people the good news, and we share with people what we have done, our research, which I think is very important now. The world we are chaos. There's turbulence in Middle East, in Europe, in neighborhood of our ASEAN countries. If we can share our experiences and bringing people together, and this will be wonderful for all of us. Maybe Tricia, tell us about the the Kuomintang group, and what is the future of your program?
Future of our program. Yeah, we hope to bring in more senior and uplifting our volunteer, because since this year we started to cut down one. We used to have two AWE every year. Now we cut down 1 year, so that to once a year, so that we can also do some let our volunteer to experience. Then we'll do a day retreat. Then we also bring in some like music therapy to our volunteers, so that they themselves also have the first-hand experience on this the great therapeutic, whereby they can also heal themselves and go and help the senior. So on this year onward, we will have some special program for our volunteer, and we will do more self retreat, and then we also would like to enhance on the program itself, the operation itself, so that the senior will be easier for senior to really adapt into the HR every day.
Yes, thank you. And I've spoken to your Albert. I think he's also concerned about the volunteers. He doesn't
Yes.
want them to be burnt out, and
Yes,
sometimes the attrition rate is high,
yes,
And
yes,
wonderful that he cares for the volunteers also, and that's how.
yes.
And he's giving you a target of 1,000 participants. Is that too much for you?
Yeah. We try our best. We try our best. Yeah, we will try our best. Yeah.
And I think Surin is playing a big role now because he's gone on to the polytechnics. He's going to teach them down there, and also the students down there learn from him, and that's how you're going to spread the good news to what to be done. Surin, is that part of your aim going to the polytechnic, that you can able to influence more people down there?
I think to share very openly, Prof, I think the great work that's been done in a program like HL every day, the years and years on research, the good findings, where we've come after all these years, will be a good platform to share with the next generation, to inspire them to go into research. And more importantly, not just stay in research, but translate their findings into actual community practice. And I hope that, as I move now to the Polytechnic and having the chance to speak to the young generation, we could inspire more people or more Professor Kwas in the future to come into the equation as well. So I'll bring all the findings and continue to inspire, and hopefully we will all age well and have and age gracefully in years to come.
Yes, right. Thank you, Surin, and also your partner Sean have played a big role. So we're hoping that with all these programs, the prevalence of dementia and depression will drop, and if less patients, then it's wonderful for the country. The money, you don't have to build more hospitals or more services and spend all the taxpayers' money on this area. They can have better parks for us to enjoy our lives. And I hope maybe in future, I think Surin could organize the national parade, also include a parade of people, part of the AWE program. They could also join the parade, So I want to close and thank the three speakers and all of you for participating. And many of those who are listening are volunteers. They've asked wonderful questions. We don't have time to cover them. And people are also talking about wanting to volunteer. So I think it will be a very busy day for people working in Mind Science Center. There'll be a barrage of questions coming in and volunteers coming in. So I want to thank all of you and have a nice day, or what is left of a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Prof. Kwa. With that, we have come to the end of the 7th Living with Dementia webinar series, and a very big thank you to all our speakers for today. And once again, I would like to express our deepest gratitude to everyone for joining us and for making today's session so meaningful. And if you are interested to learn more about the evolving and impactful role of digital technology in shaping mental well-being, we encourage you to visit MALAB's 4th exhibition, now open with a brand new showcase. This new exhibition highlights how digital tools like your wearables and AI can support the mental well-being of individuals across different life stages and needs. You can find more details in the chat box below. Now, as you leave this webinar, you'll also be prompted to complete a survey. Your feedback is valuable to us, so please take 5 minutes to share your thoughts. Thank you once again, and goodbye.
Thank you. I had to run. The patient are calling me. Thanks. Yeah. Someone. Yes, Chen.